here we go. Oh, it's time to shout at the devil, baby dolls. Yes, this is the Metal Hammer of Doom, and we want the dirt. All the dirt. Established 1981. Tonight, on the Metal Hammer of Doom, we are continuing our coverage of Mötley Crüe, their autobiographical biopic that was released on Netflix. The Doit! Tonight we're looking at the soundtrack, because this is the Metal Hammer of Doom. I, of course, am your host, the man-data reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Rattledge. And as I said, we're going to look at the soundtrack to The Doit. Tonight, it's a series of the best of the best of the best of Mötley Crüe, plus a few new tracks, and one recorded with Machine Gun Kelly. Good for him. Joining me tonight, of course, first, our Minister of Propaganda. Ladies and gentlemen, he wants the dirt. It's Jesse Starcher.
Oh, wow. So at one point we called an audible because we were going to do the greatest hits of Mötley Crüe. And then, of course, the dirt released. And we started looking at the soundtrack, and we realized, well, shit, there's a lot of good songs on the soundtrack as well. And a few new ones. So I'm excited, man. I really enjoyed listening to the soundtrack over the past few days, and I can't wait to talk about some good old Mötley Crüe memories that I'm sure you guys have a lot more of than I do. But either way, it's going to be a good night.
Yes, indeed. Joining us tonight, because it's totally 80s, right? This is a man, you know him as Mr. Toxic Masculinity, but I know him as a man who says, give me more sex, more tats, more blood, more pain, more threats, more theft, torn jeans, cocaine, more pretty strippers with the big red lips making big tips, showing off the nice big tits. Ha! Ha! It's Pat Mullen. How do you do, sir?
On with the show. Come on, baby. No.
In the genre of glam metal, hair metal, where does Mötley Crüe rank for you, Pat?
Objectively, I think they're, of the bands that are identified in the subgenre of hair metal, pop metal, I think they're the definitive band of that genre. I think they're the best in terms of the combination of the look, the attitude, what makes that era what it was, and on top of that, just very good music.
You might even say that Mötley Crüe had the looks that kill. Jesse? Huh?
You put that one right in there, didn't you? Slipped it right in.
No, that's poison.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I would say, we were talking about this last night, that, hair metal just sort of gets derided as just kind of one thing, and if you're in the hair metal, glam metal genre, a lot of people just sort of, they're all equal. Poison's as good as Mötley Crüe's, as good as Great White's, as good as Striper. And, and I made the point of last night of saying, like, no, there were a lot of bands in the 80s who fit into that genre, and they were vastly different. And I would agree with you. Motley Crue, if they weren't the best, depending on, where you would put Guns N' Roses, then they would definitely, they're definitely top 5.
Yeah, and I don't put Guns N' Roses necessarily in that category solely because they never had a makeup phase.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I could tell you that, again, I know I've stated it on the show before, but, we probably have some new listeners that didn't have a chance to listen to us talk about the movie last night. But Motley Crue is probably the definitive hair band for me. I know that they are the ones that put this music on the map, okay? And it seems like Poison shortly followed. And I was not seeking out these albums. I was not one that was really, trying to find my way through this genre. But I was listening to the pop station at the time, and these songs were good enough to be played on there over and over and over. I mean, some of the ballads that came out of some of these bands, specifically Motley Crue, and we're going to talk about one of those tonight, was played a lot in my area. So, I could sit here and tell you that I've never looked at some of the bigger albums that came from Motley Crue, specifically Dr. Feelgood, which seems to be one of the ones that I always see people wearing shirts for way back then. But I could probably name a good portion of the songs off that album, even though I never owned it. So
I'll tell you, they definitely have their place in mainstream society. Like, I was talking to a girl today who's not really into metal at all, but she knew Home Sweet Home. She's like, okay, who doesn't know Home Sweet Home?
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that later.
If you've walked into a strip club, you know Girls, Girls, Girls. Like, if you don't know anything else by Motley Crue, you know Girls, Girls, Girls. If you've seen a naked chick ride a pole. So, I think Shout at the Devil also, just because of the controversy it brewed, has its space in the...
I think you're selling Dr. Feelgood short, the single.
Okay.
Yeah.
That song was everywhere in, 1989, 1990, and then years later when they started doing, the infomercials with the CD compilations, and you'd have, Monsters of Rock or Monster Ballads. The songs they would actually show active clips of, Dr. Feelgood was, always on that.
All right, don't get me wrong. Dr. Feelgood, the album, was the first one. It was the first actual Motley Crue album I ever bought, with my own money. So, I absolutely agree with you. A little history on the soundtrack that we're going to talk about tonight. February 22nd, 2019, Motley Crue and Machine Gun Kelly, who happens to play Tommy Lee in the film and does a fairly good job of it, released the music video for their song, The Night, established 1981 on their YouTube channel, which you can hear myself and Jesse make fun of on the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra. A little plug for that there. The band also announced that aside from the aforementioned song, the film soundtrack would feature 3 new recordings: Ride with the Devil, Crash and Burn, and what some are considering a hate crime, the cover of Madonna's song Like a Virgin. We'll get to that in a little while. Ooh-wee! Why don't you let me take you on a sea cruise? All right. So, real quick, before we start we got a lot of songs to get through tonight, and I'm sure a lot of reminiscing. But real quick, Pat, have you actually seen The Dirt yet on Netflix?
6 or 7 times.
Just in a loop, huh? Okay, what'd you think of it? Obviously, you liked it.
Here's the thing. From an objective perspective, it's not necessarily a good movie.
Right.
Because of this thing called a lack of a real plot. The third act is really, really rushed. But, that being said, I didn't watch the movie to watch a good movie. I wanted to see parts of The Dirt acted out live and done well, and I saw that. And I had a tremendous amount of fun with it.
Are you like me? Did you read the book when it came out?
Oh, yeah. I didn't get the book immediately when it came out. I had to wait for a little while. So I got it maybe a year after as a paperback, and I finished it in a weekend.
It's so good, right?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so much. It's, again, not necessarily a great narrative story, but fun.
Yeah.
Fun from start to finish.
I was saying on the podcast last night, my only, as far as things left out from the book and the movie that I wish that they had covered, because I feel like it adds to the story of Motley Crue. Nikki Sixx's dalliance with Satanism.
Where him and the girlfriend in the apartment.
Yes. Where they believe, whether they're high, whether it's because they were high or they actually did it, they believed they had somehow conjured Satan, and Nikki Sixx was like, all right, that's it, we're done with this. I wish they had showed that. I wish they had showed a little bit more of them abusing John Corabi. Sing like Typo Negative and Phil Ansamo. Make up your fucking mind.
Yeah, like that was the whole thing. I remember when they actually let John in the book, and I was like, oh wow, okay. And he wrote he was getting those two directions. Sound like this guy, but then sound like Pete Steele. And then he's like, what? And
were they fucking with him, or were they actually wanting him to do that?
They were they were having a hard time. You got to remember, around the time that Generation Swine comes out, this was the beginning of Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden, and on the
opposite end of it too, you had bands coming along like Smashing Pumpkins, Stone Temple Pilots, that type of stuff, where the hair metal sound was out and everything had to be stripped down and minor chords and
you had Rob Zombie running around going "Rock is dead," and so they're still trying to figure out their place in the world, and they struggled. I think
I was going to say those two vocalists that you keep mentioning are further away from Vince Neil than you could fucking get. I'm just like, what? They really didn't like Vince Neil at the time, or they wanted to separate themselves from him as much as possible.
The funniest part is so Vince had a solo album come out called Exposed, right after he was either fired or quit from Motley Crue, whichever story they prefer at the time. That album sounded more like a Motley Crue album than the Motley Crue album with John Corabi.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, people fucking hated the non-Vince Neil era Motley Crue stuff. But here's the thing, for all the negativity that Load and Reload get from Metallica, they actually believed in the music. And, and if you can let go of everything has to sound like Master of Puppets, Load and Reload, Load more so than Reload, are not bad albums. They're just different from what you expect from Metallica. This is the problem that Motley Crue had. Motley Crue were trying to figure out their place in the world and their sound in a music landscape that was rapidly changing, and they never found good footing. They just didn't.
And on this soundtrack we're going to talk about, you'll see that basically everything that's on here is from the glory years prior to the breakup, and there's nothing from the Corabi album or the next one that came out, I think, was Generation Swine, if I'm not mistaken. And then they did another album, New Tattoo, and there's nothing off of that either. They really didn't find any kind of musical footing, even with Vince back, until they did Saints of Los Angeles.
Which is also not on here. All right. I think this is as good of introduction as we're ever going to get. Why mess with perfection? So here we go, baby dolls. We're going to kick it off with the aforementioned The Night 1981 with Machine Gun Kelly.
Living out a life you can't deny. making big tips, showing up the nice big tits. Ha!
I love that part. Good stuff. I let that go a little bit longer just because I love hearing that bit from Machine Gun Kelly each time. All right, let's kick it off here. I love that. I mean, I know they were going for, let's take the essence of what we are and where we went to and make a song out of it that sort of, encapsulates our, everything that made us Motley Crue, and they succeeded 110%. I have no qualms with that song. What'd you think of it, Pat?
It was fine. It's it's there to highlight the movie itself, to get the name The Dirt out there again. So they have to base the song around that. The story it tells is fun though, and it's not necessarily great. It's not necessarily bad. It's just kind of there for me. It's good. It's got a good melodic feeling to it. I'm not a fan of MGK, the rap artiste, I guess we'll call him. But I think it was a good idea to have him contribute to the song based on how high profile he is right now, based on the role he plays in the movie. So it's a good idea there. But it's fine. It's not my favorite. It's not bad.
Jesse?
Strong showing, I think. For me, I really enjoy this as a recent Motley Crue song that I actually like. I thought I was going to be displeased, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. So, just real quick, because I know this is going to come up as we hit the end, because I mentioned it to you there earlier today, Mark. So I hopped on rollingstone.com here, and so just like Pat was saying, it kind of captures the essence, and that's what they were shooting for. The thing is that they did a bunch of songs that they tried to capture the essence of their book and the story that's being told in the movie. So he wrote. Now I'm trying to figure out who they're saying who wrote it.
I'm going to go with Nikki Sixx.
Okay, all right. So he writes a bunch of songs called The Dirt, and only one single is called The Dirt, but they roll with the other ones. So you'll notice as we hit the end, The Dirt's going to be quite the theme on some of the newer tracks as we listen to them near the end of this. So that's why that happened. They actually decided to keep the other two songs around that featured The Dirt as a central part of the chorus.
We were talking about that earlier, where I was listening to the new songs, and I'm just like, boy, do they mention The Dirt a lot.
I was like, why? Okay, we don't have to drive it home that much. I understand what the movie's called.
Here's the thing. Is it an incredibly complex musical masterpiece? Of course not.
Negative.
But as talented as Motley Crue, and these were guys that can definitely play their instruments, not a lot of their stuff was exactly Dream Theater. So,
I was going to say Rush.
Yeah, or Rush. So it's okay. It's just got that great party feel to it. I was playing it around the house before. I was telling my son, go get The Dirt, and he was dancing around until he said, "All right, I've had enough of this. Put on Rocky IV for me." I'm like, all right. All right, let's get in the Wayback Machine. How far back? Way back. Our first album here. And here's the first track off that first album. This is Red Hot. All right, Red Hot. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be. First of all, that came from their second album, Shout at the Devil. Not one of the singles. It was actually on side 2, track 7. Again, from Shout at the Devil, which came out in 1983. I believe this is what they play in the scene with the club, where Tommy Lee knocks over the cymbal, and they get into a fight, if I remember correctly.
Well, I can't.
I thought it was Take Me to the Top.
Was it? Okay. What are they playing in the apartment where the girl figures out?
Livewire.
Yeah, that's Livewire.
All right. So when do they? So do you remember when this one comes on?
I can't. Not. I sorry. I shall fail you, sir.
I am also not much help to you in this end.
All right.
So Red Hot is also not. To me, here's the thing. Okay, and this is on the soundtrack. I don't think it's a particularly memorable song by Motley. I think it's not really in the common vein of what we expect from them, and as they refine their sound. Because even out of the early stuff, like my favorite Motley album is Too Fast for Love, and so I've listened to a lot of it, and a lot of their B-sides, which we'll get to. I didn't even have a real good remembrance of Red Hot until I had to re-listen to it for the show.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with it at all, but I thought I thought as they constructed this, they were kind of going in order of,
their history,
where it shows up in the movie, which even then this wouldn't have shown up first. But I swear to God, I thought this was the club scene, but no, maybe you're right. Maybe it was Take Me to the Top. Yeah, it's not a song I was particularly familiar with, but it definitely has that early Motley Crue sound to it. You could definitely see this one winning its way through the Sunset Strip. Crowds of people and small clubs and whatnot. It's it's a perfectly good, fine song. Anything else you guys want to talk about here? If not, let's keep the beat moving on.
Now I'm the same way. It was really early Motley Crue, so it was something that if I heard this song before, it's completely left my mind. So you could tell how early it is. I mean, it's got that 80s feel to it. But still, man, it definitely is a banger, a real fast-paced song for, what I would you call them? Was it glam metal? Is that the word that was the term that was used?
All right, man, let's do this thing. This is On with the show, come on, baby, blah, blah, blah. Is it me, or is it weird that comes from their first album? That feels like that feels like a song that should have come about later in years. Theater of Pain, Dr. Feelgood. It's weird that first album in, they're yeah, all right, let's do on with the show. I don't know if you get if you're picking up what I'm putting down, but this feels like a conclusion they could have come to after years of experience, not first album in.
Exactly. It feels like it's awful early in their career to be like, okay, let's slow things down and talk about some really solemn shit.
Yeah. Like trade this with Girls, Girls, Girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's your first album in, like your whole album. You know, if you're Motley Crue, your whole album should have been about just putting holes in walls and drinking, snorting cocaine off girls' asses, and not a reflective on with the show.
So this is my favorite Motley Crue B-side ever.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why it makes sense on the first album if you look at it. So Nicky, if you ever, and Mark, I know you read The Dirt. Jess, I don't know if you got to read it, but basically...
He will this Christmas when I send it to him for a present.
Okay. So Nicky was really, into the punk scene for a while and liked a lot of the stuff they did. So you can hear a part of that influence on here because it's a 3-chord melody. And, again, the production of it, this was something they initially recorded without a studio behind them. They bought studio time and recorded it this way. So it's got a very raw sound to it. Again, three-note harmony. But then as you go into the song further, besides the very solemn, rough songwriting involved of the subject matter, you get to hear a little bit of everybody shine. You get a really nice guitar solo from Mick, besides the intro piece, which I think is really haunting and sticks with you. Vince gets to hit these notes that only Vince can hit in a certain way. And Tommy, when it kicks up a notch, his drumming really leads it that way. And I think it's a well-structured song, which is kind of surprising considering how early these guys were into everything, like you guys said. And even though it was more for a case of the subject matter, like you would think they would be really simplistic and everything, it's a mature song from a very immature band.
Yeah.
But it's a great song to me. Again, it's my favorite Motley Crue B-side. It's probably my second favorite Motley Crue song, period. And it's one that I insisted when I was in my first real practicing band that we actually learn how to play.
It's funny. I was listening to it. Number one, top 5 Motley Crue songs for me. I'm stealing that bit from Bruce Pritchard, by the way. Top 5. But the other thing, when you think about people, songs that Motley Crue have done that have been covered, a lot of people cover "Shout at the Devil." That's a highly covered song. "Looks That Kill" gets covered a lot. Too Fast for Love is another one that gets covered a lot. Weirdly, Girls, Girls, Girls not covered a lot, but
well, not weird in today's day and age, but
you should have discussion about that last night.
I was gonna say you should have heard the discussion about that last night. There were a lot of reviews of the band of the movie that were like, "This is utterly tone deaf in the Me Too era and shouldn't have been made."
No, it absolutely should have been made in the Me Too era. That's when we need it most.
Yes, no, I agree. You know what, Pat? I absolutely agree with you. I think, as sensitive as this country is getting with certain things, you need reminders that, that there's great stuff out there if you're willing to, if you're willing to let your hair down and have a little fun and not be so goddamn sensitive. What a treasure this would be, that would be lost, if we continue down this road and forget about this genre. But On With the Show was made to be covered, and I'm surprised more bands don't cover it.
Yeah, I was insistent, and I was like, guys, you gotta hear this song, guys, you gotta hear this song. And this is 2001, 2002, when right before the 80s nostalgia wave started happening en masse. It's always happened with me as it is, but so they were like, Motley Crue, what the hell do you want to play Motley Crue for? I was like, no, guys, you gotta do it. And my drummer at the time, Chico, who is now an NYPD officer, he was like, I really love Livewire. Can we play that? And I was like, yes, we can play Livewire. That's my favorite song, but we got to play this too. And,
I'm not leaving this hill.
Yeah, because most of the guys had never heard the song.
Right.
And so I played it for them, and they were like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. This is Motley Crue? Yeah.
It has a little bit of that, Jesse, I'm going to mention it again, The Motley Hoople song.
Fucking Motley Hoople.
It has a little bit of that feel to it. All the young dudes. A little bit of the chord progression from all the young dudes. Not totally, not as bad as that one track I played for you in our disastrous year-end special, but.
It was bad.
We've lost Pat. All right. Well, as far as intros of Livewire go, not going to get any better than Pat saying how much he loves the song. So here we go. I'm alive. A live wire. All right, I didn't play that one for very long. You get the gist of it. Livewire, Pat. Why do you like it so much?
I think it's the best combination of the attitude, the sound. It's just raw. It's in your face. It's high energy. For a raw sound, it has incredible quality from the production they did on it, where it slows down and Vince goes into the kind of like seduction voice, and then when he kicks it up into that high, impossible high note while screaming alive, like, oh man, it's just awesome. I've heard this song covered, believe it or not, scarily, one of the best covers is by Chris Jericho's band Fozzy.
Really? I can see that. He's got his vocal range. I can see him doing a pretty good homage to Vince Neil.
Yeah. But this is one of those songs that, like, even people who hate glam metal, whatever you want to call this subgenre, they like this song because it's really hard to deny how hard it rocks.
It's the second single from their first album, Too Fast for Love, and it kicks off the side one. And I tell you what, of all the songs that are on here, it's probably the best one to kick it off and get you hooked. Jesse and I talk about that all the time, about how that first couple of songs really need to hook you into listening to the whole thing. And I don't think there's a better hook on here than Livewire.
Yeah. I had just watched a video before you guys started the call, and it was talking about how this song was, I don't know if they did a recording or a demo, but within 5 minutes of, like, getting the band started. Very much like they did in the movie. But apparently they had said that supposedly this was recorded as well, like very shortly after they got together. So it's amazing to see a band like this gel immediately and produce a song that sounds like that. So it just speaks to the great amalgamation that these band members brought together to bring Motley Crue forth to the people. So Livewire, baby, it's fast paced, just like you guys said. It's in your face. It's ready to rock and roll. This is what Motley Crue was all about back then.
All right, sticking with Too Fast for Love, here's another one for you. This is Merry Go Round. That one takes some time to get going, and it's only 3 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Would you like to know how many times merry go round and round is said? Because the over-under of 10. Go with the over, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, not one of their stronger songs.
This is Tommy Lee jam time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what it's about. I mean, Pat, do you have any idea? Would you like to take a guess? I honestly have no idea.
There's these horses, and what happens is they have these metal poles that run through them, and they're underneath this kind of big top type thing.
The inspiration, Tommy Lee was at a fair. Nikki Sixx was nearby. He said, wait a second, I got an idea.
Tommy Lee tried to marry one of the horses.
No, dude, he's in love. For real that time.
You don't know love like the love of a horse, man. Let's keep going.
Evolved into horsey love, ladies and gentlemen.
It always does. All right.
The show has evolved into bestiality.
All right. Again, keeping with Too Fast for Love. This one I really like. This one actually kind of reminds me of not stylistically necessarily, but just in terms of theme. I remember the VH1 behind the music for Kid Rock, and they were talking about how like Kid Rock in his early music is like I am the bullfrog or whatever the fuck that first one was called.
I am the bullfrog.
The illegitimate son of Sam. I am the bull god. I am the bull god. That's what he said. The ba with the ba. That whole thing, like in his music, he was just talking himself up, like he couldn't be denied, like he was talking, like before anyone bought a single record, he was talking about like how great he was going to become and everything, and and it was just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's what I think about when I hear "Take Me to the Top." It's one of those where like they say this belongs at the beginning of your career. This is we're young, we're poor, we're hungry, we're snorting ants, we're eating bologna. We're conjuring Satan. We want to go to we want to be noticed. We want to conquer the Sunset Strip, and we want to go to the top. And that's all this song, and they do a great job of it. So here we go. Once again from Too Fast for Love. This is "Take Me to the Top." Ba 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 ba. Take me to the top. All right, Pat, what do you got for me?
It's a very cool anthemic song, not just for Motley, but for the whole scene in L.A. at the time on the Sunset Strip. This is not just Motley. This is every band who was trying to break out at the time, which, if you look at that time frame from, say, 1978 to 1983, when most of those bands were getting signed or breaking out, this was the attitude that all of those bands had at the time. This is the attitude of everybody who was a kid in high school or a young adult just wanting to get out of whatever they were doing and just forget about everything, go to the Sunset Strip on Friday, Saturday to the Troubadour of the Whiskey, and this is where they want to be. They want to watch this band rise to the top, and they want to get to the top of whatever they're doing. It's a really smart song to include as one of your first introductions to the mainstream because it's going to catch on. It's a song that captures the attitude and the feeling of the time, which is why it's such a good pick.
Jesse, take me to the top, baby.
Yeah, we're starting to get into that era where I am probably noticing more Motley Crue in what I'm hearing. So, yeah, take me to the top. It's everything that Pat said. It's very representative of what this band was wanting to become. They were wanting to be that band of that era, and they were, they could not be denied, just like you said, Mark. So can't add much more to that.
Ba with the ba. All right.
Bang to bang boogie.
This next one was actually written by Nikki Sixx and Vince Neil. This is Piece of Yo Action.
I need you. I want you to be my tonight. You need me. You tease me. Use you up and throw you away. You fire, taking me higher. Don't blow me, don't let me down. You need me now. I teach you how. Come on, let's go all the way.
It is my belief that there's two kinds of rock and roll artists. There's the group that they play music because they have a belief or a thought, an idea that they need to express to the world. They have something to say, and they want to say it through music. That's their choice medium to put that message out there. Okay?
I have a feeling I know what this other type's going to be, but I can't wait to hear it.
Then there's the other type where music is a way to fuck bitches.
Exactly where I thought you was going. I mean, if I can see it now. Vince Neil's like, all right, look, I want to help. I want to write a song that gets me laid more.
It's like, listen, I want to contribute to the songwriting process. Okay, Veal, what's on your mind, pussy? All right. What are you thinking for a song here, fucking bitches? Well, we can't write a song called fucking bitches. We're not gonna get that on the radio. What else you got? Can you clean that up a bit?
Piece of your ass. No, we can't go with that. All right, how about we tweak it a little bit?
I like where you're going with this. I like piece of your ass. How about we change ass to action?
Boom.
Run with it.
I like that you guys are assuming that the voice of clarity in naming the song and titling is Nikki Sixx.
Might have been Mick Mars. It might have been Mick Mars. He seemed like the grown-up of the group.
Yes.
All right, piece of your ass. What do you think, Pat?
It's this is the kind of song that if you're gonna stereotype Motley Crue, this is one of the songs where you stereotype what they're about. And I don't think the group dislikes that either. I think they at one point stated, "I don't know what's wrong with wanting to go out and have a good time with your friends and get laid."
Right.
And that was their mantra of a band, and that's fine. And it was Vince who said that, because I remember him talking about the differences between their scene and the whole Seattle life sucks and is hopeless scene. Mm-hmm. He's not. I don't think he's wrong, but this is the kind of song that is very simple, has very clear intent behind it. But again, the modus operandi is fun. So right on.
That's right.
And it isn't as if there isn't a long sordid history of women wanting to sleep with musicians. I mean, and this taps that well, very well. You know, this taps that well, quite masterfully. And so it's that's not. See, here's the thing, and it goes back to the whole idea of, oh, well, this is tone deaf in 2019. It's like, no, women are still fucking musicians, though.
Oh yeah, they're throwing themselves at them. I mean,
yeah, it's just usually now other female musicians.
Well, women got to get pussy too, Pat.
I'm just saying. I remember when rock stars looked like rock stars. Now they look like the guys who are going to serve you a vegan chai latte at some fucking store.
I don't know what you're listening to. It's not the shit we're listening to on the Metal Hammer of Doom, typically.
Yeah, because that shit is slop. I'm sorry.
Oh, Pat, you're breaking my heart. All right, we're moving on here.
No. Before we move on.
All right.
So, the same band that I had that I demanded we play Motley Crue songs in had very divergent ideas about why we should be a band. We all loved music, which was fine. I wanted it to be a stellar production where we legit became stars. I was more of the attitude of, I want to sell out Madison Square Garden and the Forum, and I want the backstage area to look like a Motley Crue backstage area where we light joints with $100 bills and laugh uncontrollably at something stupid that our drummer did. Two-fifths of this band kind of just wanted to make music for the sake of making music and not really having some sort of unfun agenda with it or fun agenda with it. Didn't get that. Didn't make any sense to me, because I feel like if you're going to go for it, really go for it. And that eventually is why the band broke up.
I mean, Mark, you were in a band as well. I know you've mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm. Briefly.
Are you seeing the same fate befall what happened with your band, where people, some of them just wanted to have a good time, and then others were just like, "Fuck, man, we got to be serious."
They got married, and they should have known they'd never get playing.
We were in high school when that band got put together, and like everything else in my life, like that band was sort of a revolt against what was happening in the school. There was a death metal band that was like the anti-fun band. Like literally, like they would play, and it was like they were like the super serial. It all has to be about the music, And again, they're playing death metal, for fuck's sake. But like everybody in the band had a stick up their ass. Like, and you would think like hair metal, like metal guys in the early '90s would be a lot more fun, but not the guys I went to high school with. They were all just like super stuck up, had their nose in the air. And I remember like the rock shows just being sort of a competition of whose farts, smelled the least. And like to me, like music should be fun. You should be able to laugh and have a good time. And it should be about partying. At least that's what I felt at the time, believe it or not. And a bunch of my friends and I who happened to be musicians, like we kind of like fell together as a band. Like I knew a guy who played guitar, I knew a guy who played drums. We had to search for a bass player. One of our buddies was the keyboard player, and and then there was me, and I'm like, and I just had this vision of like, let's just go out there and fucking party and write funny songs and make fun of stuff and just have a good time. Like let's remind people that rock and roll's supposed to be fun, not fucking trigonometry.
Yeah, you had a lot of the same problem I did, where I wanted to be Van Halen, Aerosmith, and they wanted to be like Agnostic Front.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. I'm sitting here just wanting to do the Ramones, and everybody around me is fucking doing Dream Theater, and I'm like, all right, sure. But and we did. We had fun. I remember our bass player started our very first show. He walked out on stage with he cut open a football and put it on his head as a hat. Angered at least 30% of the people in the audience.
It angered them?
Yes.
All right.
I cut the crotch out of my not the entire crotch, but I cut the crotch area of my jeans pretty well open, and I did not wear underwear.
Oh no!
I think I told you. I got initially we were allowed the freedom of playing whatever it was we wanted, and if you happened to have cursed once or twice, no one was going to get too bent out of shape about it. We're pretty progressive school in that sense. And
then what did you play an Insane Clown Posse song where you say F word 93 times?
You're very close. It was Rage Against the Machine. Killing in the Name of.
Parade?
Nope, Killing in the Name of.
Oh, Killing in the Name of, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a little obvious too.
Violence.
And that was the end of that. They actually named the rule after me. Like, I was a senior in high school at the time, and the following year they instituted the Mark Rattledge rule, which was you have to submit your lyrics in advance for approval. Yay! I made the school more fascist.
Success.
My lasting legacy of embarrassing my parents and making things worse for the students. I'm proud of myself, actually. All right. So, with that being said, let's move on to the aforementioned second release, one of the more infamous ones. Here's the title track. This is not Shout with the Devil, but Shout at the Devil. My cue there. So this is on the short list of songs that if my son ever becomes a professional fighter, this is his walkout music. It's got a great march to it.
Is he throwing the horns?
He's not really throwing the horns just yet, but he definitely
punched himself in the head on the way down.
Dude, he hit himself in the head with a hammer tonight. Like, not a real hammer.
Okay.
Thor.
Like, wait a fucking second, Mark.
He's currently bleeding out in his room, but I had a podcast to do tonight, so we'll get to it later.
That's why Lily was crying.
Hey, Jonas is kind of dead in here. No.
Mark, haven't we talked about this and his propensity for hitting himself in the head?
He was messing around with his sister, like horse playing, and we from when he was an infant, I have a costume Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. And,
Mjolnir, that was close.
Okay, thank you. And so it's his now. It's one of his toys. And he had it on his bed, and he was playing with it, and I guess he went to hit his sister with it, and he fucking clocked himself.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. But, Shout at the Devil. It's one of my favorites by Motley Crue. It's got a great march to it. Again, like, it got such, because they have the word devil in there, this caught a lot of controversy, but there's not exactly a lot of allusions to any kind of Satanism that I could hear.
There's not. Honestly, like, I know this is considered one of the must-have Motley Crue songs. To me, it's one of my least favorite Motley Crue songs.
Really?
It's not a ballad. Only because, like, Too Fast for Love is their first album. Like I said, it's my favorite album of theirs. To me, this song is just, I know it's anthemic and everything, but I also think musically it's a really big step back and very dumbed down from what they were doing. And even compared to some of the other stuff on this album, it's simplistic and not in a good way.
You're welcome to your opinion there. It was the first single released from the album in 1983. Funny enough, as much controversy as this album gets, it's a mixed bag, because All Music, it gave it 4.5 stars, Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, 8 out of 10. Then you have Rolling Stone, 2 out of 5 stars. And The Village Voice gave it a D.
Village Voice sucks, so whatever.
Yeah.
What other songs are off this album?
Looks That Kill. They do a cover of Helter Skelter, Red Hot, Too Young to Fall in Love.
Which is a great song we'll get to.
Yep.
Knock 'em Dead Kids on it. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, 10 Seconds to Love, another good one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they were still going strong with Shout at the Devil, as far as an entire album goes. I don't think they start to fall off until they get to Girls, 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 which to me felt like a 1 or 2 song album, and then the rest of it was just drug-addled filler. But we'll get there.
Yeah. I got a quick question, Pat. Have you had a chance to see Motley Crue in concert?
Yeah, I went to Crue Fest back in 2005.
Okay. Now, if you were to rank the songs that got the crowd going and interacting, would you say Shout at the Devil was probably at least top 3?
From that show, no, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right.
They were really probably more into anything, into Wild Side, Dr. Feelgood, and Girls, Girls, Girls.
Okay. All right. Mark, have you seen Crue in concert?
I have not.
You have not. Okay. All right. Well, I would figure, of course, this is just based off of, some of the videos I've seen and stuff. I mean, this has got to be the crowd looks like they just fucking erupt, and it's all just fists in the air, pumping every time. Shout, shout, shout at the devil. One of the things that I think is very interesting about this song is Vince's vocals just go insane at some point.
He's at the upper. He's at the upper range of his yelling voice.
Yes, yeah, and that doesn't take away from the song, in my opinion. I think it adds a lot of frenetic energy to it. But man, shout at the devil. Hey, Mark, grab your shot glass. Guitar Hero 3.
There we go. Woo!
Yeah, buddy. Love playing that song on there. But, man, now we're getting into the era. We're getting into the era where Jesse Starts are starting to recognize some of these songs being played a lot in my area. So I'm ready to go on to the next.
Well, just as it does on the album, following Shout at the Devil is The Looks That Kill. The song about Nikki Sixx's mother, Looks That Kill. No, just kidding.
I want an explanation right now as to why that was. Is she just completely off her rocker when she says that in the movie? Is that what they're trying to prove?
I was looking for something earlier on that, like what really does inspire the Looks That Kill. Clearly, he was not writing about his mother. But I don't know. I don't know any behind the scenes stuff. I mean, his mom, at least in the movie and in the book, is portrayed as something of a drunk and a whore. But narcissist? I don't know. Maybe, possibly. It certainly follows.
I mean, Pat, did you have any insight onto that at all?
Yeah, I don't think this has anything to do with the mother. I think it's just trying to paint the picture of her as again, kind of a bipolar narcissist kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But as far as a song, this is, to me, an improved version of Shout at the Devil in terms of the melody, the chorus. I think this is very similar, if you listen to them back-to-back, to Shout at the Devil, but I think it's better in every way.
It's a great song. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I don't know if I like it better than Shout at the Devil, but, you know, we've already been through, we have difference of opinion on that. I just think it's a great song, you know? It definitely follows in the thematic vein of what Motley Crue like to talk about, so...
You know, what's messed up is I just realized that this album is 18 tracks long, and I didn't feel that at all when I listened to it at work.
Dude, we've listened to we've done albums on the Metal Hammer of Doom where we get to track 7 and we're like, all right, medley.
Fuck all this shit. I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know if it's just because this is their greatest, at least a good portion of their greatest stuff that they've put out there. And maybe that's what makes it fly by for me. But man,
I'll give credit where credit's due. I'll give credit where credit's due. There's not a bad song on here, in my opinion. I mean, as far as the kind of things where when we normally do the Metal Hammer of Doom, when we're looking at album reviews, you know, like you and I get to a certain track, and we're just like, well, that was a song. I don't get to. None of these make me feel that way. None of these have me going like, nope. Like, you know, like I was telling you earlier, I generally don't listen to a lot of what we review until the day of the show, so it's fresh in my mind. And I'm start generating things to talk about on the podcast, so we're not doing like, yep, that was a cool song. Mm-hmm. Hey, Jesse, have you beaten your children lately? I don't know what to talk about, you know.
Fill space, fill in that air.
You know, like where's Robert to tell us about his shitty dating life?
We miss you, Coop.
So, I mean, but with this one, like, I'm not having that issue at all. Like, I started listening to this album last week, you know, as soon as it dropped on Spotify, and I was off the Royal Caribbean boat, you know, as soon as I had access to it, and you know, and I'll play it in the, like, this is one of those where I'll probably hang on to the download because I'm gonna want to listen to this, especially like if I've had like a shitty day at work or something. You know, I can blast some Motley Crue and feel better about life. Because that's what Motley Crue is all about. It's all about making you feel better about life. You know what I mean?
Amen.
I do.
All right. I don't know about you, but I am certainly too young to fall in love. I wish, I don't think there's a video for this. This was released as a single. It's actually the 4th single on the album. But if we can go back in time and do a video for Too Young to Fall in Love, it should be nothing but them snorting cocaine off girls' asses.
Or Tommy Lee throwing up on a stripper.
Yeah. I think in succession it should just be cocaine off girls' asses, vomiting on a stripper, back around again. Just 3 minutes, 32 seconds of just that. Don't show anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I could see one of the girls getting grand illusions in their head that they're going to. I mean, obviously, if they're with Tommy Lee, it's a different story. But
well, hang on. Actually, that reminds me. Okay, there should be 3 things in the video: snorting cocaine off girls' asses, throwing up on strippers, punching girls in the face.
Tommy Lee, don't call my mom a cunt.
Stabbed him in the shoulder.
True.
Hey, Jesse, Captain Marvel, go on and smile, you cunt. Put it on a t-shirt, Mindy.
Yeah, put that shit on a t-shirt. Oh, wow. So, okay, Too Young to Fall in Love. Hey, another perfect anthem for this band. That's just, I can see, like I said, some lady getting delusions that they're going to make one of these band members their husband, and immediately after the deed is done, this song comes on. So there you go.
Yes,
This is a great song.
As they're being nakedly escorted off the bus. Can I have my clothes back? Nope, we're keeping them to make a blanket.
Yeah, goes on the quilt. Got a big ass quilt in the back.
What's that? It's our quilt made of panties and bras. Pat, did you want to add anything to the silliness?
This is Motley song number 3 for me of my favorites. I in all seriousness, I think if you listen to the chord progression in the song, this is to me one of the song probably where Nicky stands out most as a good bass player. I won't call him a great bass player, but I think in this song, musically, he's really on point with the driving and the progression of what he's playing. Mick is just on fire with the guitar rhythm, and Tommy is probably, unfortunately, very underrated as a whole when it comes to his actual musicianship. He is an amazing drummer, and I think he's the most consistent part in any Motley song, mainly due to the fact that he's keeping rhythms in songs where, one, it was really hard to in the early days, and even when the song is bad, you can still single out Tommy as not being why the song is bad, and his playing doesn't get as bogged down by bad writing as Mick's does, or else I would say Mick is right on the same level there with him.
All right, it's time to move on. Take the Wayback Machine a little closer to the present. We're in 1985. We are still continuing to do lots of drugs, lots of drinking. I believe this is around the time that Vince is going to manslaughter Razzle Dingley of Hanoi Rocks in a drunken car accident. This is from the album Theater of Pain. This is their second single, and probably one of the songs that the average person knows from Motley Crue. This is the ballad, the most famous ballad. This is Home Sweet Home.
You know I'm a dreamer, but my heart's of gold. I had to run away high, so I wouldn't come home low. Just when things went right, it doesn't mean they were always wrong. Just take this song, and you'll never be left all alone. Take me to your heart, feel me in your bones. Just one more night, and I'm coming on this long and winding road. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, home sweet home. Tonight, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, home sweet home. You know that I've seen too many romantic dreams up in lights falling off the silver screen. My heart's like an open book for the whole world to read. Sometimes nothing keeps me together at the seams. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, home sweet home. Tonight, I'm on my way, just set me free, home sweet home.
Home Sweet Home, baby. It's a pretty song. Can't argue that. It's one of the top ballads of the era. Not anything else from Theater of Pain. on this entire soundtrack. No City Boy Blues, no Smoking in the Boys Room cover, no Louder Than Hell, nothing.
Good.
Not a fan of that album?
I hate the album.
Okay.
Other than the Smoking in the Boys Room cover and Use It or Lose, it's not bad. But everything else is trash, specifically this song.
Okay, why do you hate this song?
Ooh.
This song may be the most negative influence in the history of glam metal, because this song made it pretty much a requirement going forward for any band to have a power ballad on their album. And it got to the point where not only did you have to have a power ballad, the power ballad had to be the first single you put out before you could put out the hard rock track. And then it got to the point where all these companies wanted from these bands were the power ballad. Probably the worst of which was when it got to the W band days with White Lion and Warren and Winger. They didn't even want their hard rock songs. They just wanted ballads from them.
Yep.
And other groups like Kix, Slaughter, their only hits that were released and able to chart were power ballads.
Yep.
I have to ask you though, in a bubble. I mean, because I think that's great what you're bringing up, and I think it's valid, and certainly when you have anything that sort of tears down an entire genre of something that's beloved, you're going to have negative feelings toward it. So I get what you're coming from, and I can't argue with you. But in a vacuum, when none of that matters, and it's just you and the song, you're going to tell me that's a bad song.
It's probably a well-written song. I just can't stand it because it's like, I don't want to hear that from Motley Crue. Let me hear that from, Richard Marx.
Oh gosh, what was the Jesse? What was the guy who was chasing us around the warehouse from the Rocky IV soundtrack? No Easy Way Out.
Oh, fucking
Robert
Tepper.
Robert Tepper, yeah. Throw that one to Robert Tepper and then let him chase you around a warehouse.
Oh, shit. All right, here you go, guys. UltimateClassicRock.com. Top 10 metal, top 10 80s rock ballads, okay? Here we go. Comment as you wish. Number 10, Patience, Guns N' Roses.
Worst Guns N' Roses song.
I don't even count that as a ballad, but okay.
It has a whistle solo, Mark.
Okay.
Number 9, Love Song by Tesla.
Tesla rocks. I can't hate that.
Number 8.
There's a new Tesla album coming out this year.
Number 8, Love Bites by Def Leppard.
Oh, I love Bite. Love Bite!
Number 7, let's see. Yeah, we said number 8, Love Bites. Def
Yes,
Leppard.
I had an orgasm. Go on.
Yeah. Number 7, Never Say Goodbye by Bon Jovi.
Oh, it's a good one. Oh, Pat, Pat and I are going to be fighting next weekend.
Number 6, speaking of the W bands, Heaven, Warrant.
Heaven isn't so far away? Isn't too far away?
Right.
Heaven isn't too far away. Closer. Go ahead.
I used to hear that song in my head when I would, see Nicole Eggert on Charles in Charge.
Mm.
And then I realized Heaven was really far away from her because she's a batshit wacko.
Is she really?
Did you not hear about the whole thing with Scott Baio?
No.
Oh, she tried to say he molested her on Charles in Charge, and it was proven false. And, yeah, she's one of those wackos.
What a bitch.
Crazy. Number 5, You Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone by Cinderella.
Such mixed feelings on that because Cinderella is the most underrated of the glam metal bands.
By far. Dude, Night Songs is the shit.
Amazing band. And that's, honestly one of their weaker songs, even though it's well written. So I'm mixed feelings on that one.
Have you actually listened to the entire Night Songs album, Jesse?
No, I haven't listened to it. I could tell you I've never listened to Cinderella other than what's been played on the radio.
Oh, you
I
need
jammed
to.
with Fred Curry, who is the drummer from Cinderella.
This is a genre that I, unfortunately, was way... Talk about too far away. I was too far away from this genre.
You were still listening
when I was a kid.
I feel like when at the height of this, you were still listening to rap music back in
Tone
Langford,
Loc,
Ohio.
sir.
Yeah.
Funky Cold Medina.
Yeah.
All right.
You and Young MC were holding hands on the way to school.
Number 4, I Remember You by Skid Row.
I remember you. Remember yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3, I don't know. There may be some more singing here. Journey with Faithfully.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what, man.
What a shit band Journey turned into when they started churning this crap out.
Dude, you want to see, if there's ever like a war or something like shots being fired, and you want to draw white people out, play Journey. They can't resist it. It's the Pied Piper for white people. If you play some Journey out, white people will come out of the fucking shadows.
I'm shocked they picked this over Open Arms, to be honest.
Yeah, by far.
Those songs suck really hard anyway. But like those songs, once Journey started doing that shit, and they got away from like Stone and Love, like they were dead. Me.
Number 2, Poison. Every rose has its thorn.
Of course. How is that not number 1?
Because Home is going to be number 1.
UltimateClassicRock.com, number 1. Song ballad from the 80s, rock ballad from the 80s, Home Sweet Home. Song ballad, sir.
Here's a couple of shock parts. The Bon Jovi song they pick was not I'll Be There For You.
Yeah, surprisingly.
A little bit of a shock on that.
Surprisingly. So now that we got the ladies all wet with the ballad, what are we going to do next, Mike Ratledge?
Well, we're going to leave theater.
We're going in the complete opposite direction.
Do you like soft ballads to woo your woman? Well, fuck you. Here's Girls, Girls, Girls. From 1987 self-titled, not self-titled, but from the 1987 titled album, Goils, Goils, Goils. So is it weird that I can't hear that song without thinking 2-for-1 lap dances and a parade of girls just walking through?
You'd be wrong if you didn't.
Like every strip club I've ever been to, like when they bring out their, like I don't know what your strip club life has been, Jesse. I'm sure Pat's been to them, but like you know that every time they do like the 2-for-1 lap dances, no matter where you are in the world, they're playing this song. You hear the motorcycles, you know it's 2-for-1 lap dance time.
We're going to be covering Overkill's Welcome to New Jersey or whatever the hell it is here pretty soon. This feels like fucking Motley Crue's Welcome to, the strip clubs.
Welcome to Sunset Boulevard.
Let me tell you.
It's more than that. I'll tell you what's awesome about this song, and I know that it's girls, 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 whatever. It's not exactly, something the fucking shitty Beatles wrote or whatever. They literally make references to strip clubs all around the country that are real strip clubs.
Yeah, like the Dollhouse in Fort Lauderdale. Girls!
Days in Hell at the Seventh Veil.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and a lot of the ones I mentioned are right there on the Sunset Strip. I've been to a few of them. Well, met Ice-T at one of them and was told by the girls at this establishment that he's a big loser and he's there every weekend. So that was a fun little memory.
Oh, shit. No, not Ice-T.
Yep, big loser.
Oh, damn it.
Anyway, Girls, Girls, Girls came out in 1987. It was the first single from the album. Wild Side followed that, and then You're All I Need. I'm actually surprised Wild Side didn't make it onto the soundtrack. It's a great song.
Yeah.
As far as the rest of this album, yeah, I think this is the rest of it's like all like this is like this was like the height of their like creative depravity. Like the band was just falling apart at this point. In the and it shows in the album.
Have you guys seen the you know how they have like the kids reaction videos to kids react to this or kids react to that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I found one a couple of days ago. Kids react to Motley Crue.
Yep, I've seen that one.
Boy. I have not.
But there was a link to Motley Crue reacts to kids react to Motley Crue.
Oh boy.
And it's Tommy Lee. And all I can say is, like, there's one point where one of the kids is like this little wannabe hipster in training. Tommy calls him, and Girls, Girls, Girls comes on, and he says, oh, yeah, I think I've heard this one before. And Tommy goes, yeah, your dad's playing it when, and then he stops, and he just doesn't keep talking.
He stops himself short. That's great.
Good stuff. All right. And that is our only representation from Girls, Girls, Girls. We're gonna end the soundtrack with a couple of tracks from their multi-platinum, from what I remember, selling album, Dr. Feelgood. The album that got me into Motley Crue back in the day. It came out September 1st, 1989. Here we go. We're going to kick it off with The Same Old Situation. Little known fact, that song was originally called Girls Are Terrible.
And is about lesbians.
It's good shit right there. Same Old Situation. SOS. It's the fifth single from Dr. Feelgood. Came out July 31st, 1990.
Woo! Goyles? No, wait a second.
No,
it's the same old situation.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Goyles will be Goyles. That's what I wanted to say.
Goyles will be Goyles.
Man, there are some stellar tracks from that album on here from Dr. Feelgood.
And I like how they're all very subtle, like She Goes Down.
That's perfect. That's what we want from our Motley Crue, is it not? That's what we want to hear. More tales of debauchery.
I mean, forgetting about just Dr. Feelgood. I mean, like, Motley Crue. What are the things that inspires you? Vagina. What do you mean? Well, let's see. Slice of your pie, rattlesnake shake, sticky sweet. She goes down.
Oh,
I'll tell you what, man. I was so this comes out in 1989. I'm like between 8th and 9th grade at this point. And I think I bought this and the Black Album around the same time. And I remember, like, I was just an angry little kid. My favorite song off this wasn't even like Dr. Feelgood or Kickstart My Heart. Or my favorite song about this was Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
The only Motley ballad I like.
So good. I figured I put that up against "Used to Love Her," and that was my angry little mindset at the time, my little 9th grade mindset. But same old situation. Anything on this one?
Have either of you tried to hit on a chick and found out she was a lesbian, or just preferred the company of a particular woman to your particular brand of company?
It was funny. My wife and I were actually talking about this the other day. That like, I used to go out clubbing all the time, and I never had a problem approaching a girl, in the sense that I might get rejected, because I mean, that's a part of trying to date and meet chicks, right? My problem was, like, what would make me reticent to want to approach somebody wasn't the fear that I was going to get rejected by them, was that they were with somebody, and probably a girl, considering the clubs that I went to. Like, I was in 80s clubs, 80s industrial, that sort of thing. A lot of gay chicks at these places. And it's just like, and I for some odd reason, that was scarier to me than just flat out, like, I'm not interested in you, fatty. It was more of, like, no, like, you're fine and everything, but I'm with Sarah. You're like, oh, damn.
When I was in, like, my peak of, like, what I felt was my rock star level, like, when I had, like, semi-long hair, and I had, like, the happening jeans and stuff, or, like, a size too small, and then I'd wash them in cold water, too, on top of that.
These are your Here's My Dick jeans. Got it.
Yeah, and you put a strategic rip here or there, and, you rock the leather jacket or whatever.
Of course.
And I looked remarkably like Will Friedle on Boy Meets World at the time. Just to give you like a visual. So, like, I would walk around and, like, you see, this was the height of the time, like 2002, 2003, of, like, when girls would kiss girls for attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you would see it, and you really would be thrown off. Like, are these girls actually gay, or are they just, like, screwing around or whatever? So I was at a Hot Topic, and I saw a shirt that said, I like girls who like girls. And I was like, perfect icebreaker. Bought it. Would wear it out to, like, these, like, pseudo raves and keggers and stuff. And 50% of the time it worked every time.
All right.
Well done. All right. Moving right along, footloose and fancy free, as we start to cash out on tonight's show. Another great one from Dr. Feelgood. This is the old Kickstart My Heart. All right, Kickstart My Heart. You know, you wouldn't think of Motley Crue as like a moshing type band, but I could actually see a pit started to that one. That one makes me want to.
I've seen a pit started to that one.
Have you really?
Yeah, Crue Fest.
All right, good for those people. Now, was it one of those like sissy circle pits, or was it like a real mosh pit where people were getting punched in the mush?
Fucking mosh elitist over here.
It was more slam dancing than like wild fist swinging.
Okay, fair enough. I can deal with that. I like slam dancing. Slam dancing is what it was all meant to be. It wasn't necessarily meant to be, just fucking high cross tackles, checked into the boards and shit like that. I'm not talking to you, madam. Kickstart My Heart harkens back to the punk influence of the band that they had seemed to have forgotten about. And they brought it back here. The song's got a lot of attitude to it. It's, I was sitting here bobbing my head, as we were listening to it here. It's one of the better songs off this album, I think.
If you're gonna have a drug overdose, at least make it worthwhile.
No,
write a song about it.
Absolutely,
man. I really do. I think this is my favorite song off this album and off of Dr. Feelgood. So, Mark, you mentioned about the production value. It seemed like it was ratcheted up for Dr. Feelgood to where when I listened to this song again there today, after we talked about it last night, I really started to notice that. There is so much in this that feels like it feels like every part gels with the other. Nothing sticks out to me like, oh, that shouldn't be there. They could do better here in this part. This song, in my opinion, is perfect for Motley Crue. I really, really do enjoy it. And, yeah, I'm sitting at work, dude, and this song hits, and it's impossible not to, bang your head in some way. So,
according to the wiki, Lars Ulrich of Metallica asked Bob Rock to produce the self-titled Black Album after being impressed with Rock's production on Dr. Feelgood. So there you go.
Yeah. That'd go, Lars.
All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play this next one. It's the last song from Dr. Feelgood and the last song from the back in the day Motley Crue. When we come back from that, we're gonna medley out the last three songs, which were the three new ones that they recorded.
No, can we medley this and the other two and leave the last one?
Oh man, that needs space. It doesn't need to be lumped in with the other stuff.
You want me to medley Dr. Feelgood, Ride with the Devil, and Crash and Burn?
First of all, Dr. Feelgood is like my gym walkout song, where it has the slow start and I'm like bouncing up and down on my toes, rocking my head back and forth.
Sure.
And then once it kicks in, then I go and I start hitting the bench press or the squat rack.
Yep, I can see this as walkout music. All right, what do you guys want me to do here? You want me to medley Dr. Feelgood, Ride with the Devil, and Crash and Burn?
Hell yeah.
All right, here we go. From Dr. Feelgood, here's the lead track, Dr. Feelgood, and the two recorded tracks, Ride with the Devil and Crash and Burn.
want to never get enough. You can live like you're gonna die. Hey, you want a chance to fly? You can ride with the devil through the burning sky. Come on, baby, ride with me. I'll show you things you can't unsee. I wanna tell you now. We're just too fast for love. All the gold and platinum games. Every time it up in flames. All the cars in diamond chains. All that grind don't mean a thing. Just give me the dirt. If you wanna kiss the ring, just admit that we were kings. Looking out through the devil's eyes, we would just take everything. Shot off like firewood, every night was a 4th of July. Did it hard until it hurt, thank God for alibis. I'm so alive, I don't know why. I had to pass it burn. I fell from the sky. I thought I had died the moment I hit
All right. Dr. Feelgood, Ride with the Devil, Crash and Burn. They all brought the dirt. Lots of dirt.
Dirt 1, Dirt 2, Dirt 3.
Dr. Feelgood is a badass fucking song. I love the way Vince Neil sings, tells the tale of Rat Tail Jimmy. So, like, great lyric writing there, great delivery. The whole thing is just so good. And I was talking about this last night on Damn You Hollywood, that if you ever listen to the demos for Dr. Feelgood versus the produced version, they're like two different songs.
Oh, completely different.
The other thing that really speaks to me on Dr. Feelgood is how good of a drummer Tommy Lee is. I mean, like, he might be a piece of shit in every other facet of his life, except for punching girls. That's pretty cool. No, just kidding.
Shit.
Look, if she calls your mama cunt, you gotta bust her in the nose. I'm just saying. Just kidding. Hashtag me too. Anyway, but
use an open hand voice.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it is like the first thing that jumped out at me when I remember back when I heard the album was like how crazy of a drummer Tommy Lee is. Like, he's like really talented.
Well, it's amazing to me that I have to have a debate as to which song is probably the most known, whether it be Dr. Feelgood, and I love Kickstart My Heart, but we talked about Home Sweet Home as well, and I was just looking this up, and yeah, Dr. Feelgood was the album charted number 1 at one point. And the single Dr. Feelgood at one point charted number 6. So, this is, if there is a Motley Crue song that you could go up to and ask, okay, you may not have listened to any of the albums, but which song, and you lay them all out there, do you recognize? I would say Dr. Feelgood is probably the one that most everybody's going to pick because it was popular.
I feel like when I went to the Sam Goody at the Sunrise Mall, I bought Dr. Feelgood, Paula Abdul's Forever Your Girl, and
Paula Abdul,
and Nena Sherry Buffalo Stance all on the same day. Remember that? We all hang in a Buffalo stance.
Oh, good Lord.
I was eclectic back when I was 12, 13, 14, however the hell
that Paula
I was.
Abdul album. That Paula Abdul album had some stuff on it.
Dude, straight up fucking took over the world there for a while.
Yeah, buddy.
I still got the cassette somewhere.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. Anything else? I mean, Ride with the Devil and Crash and Burn. I think if Motley Crue would have put out an album today, if they just did a full-length album called The Dirt, these two fit on there very well. I think they're fine songs, but the one they went with and decided this is going to be The Dirt, this is the summation of all things. Neither one of these two are as good as that one, as far as that goes.
I'll agree.
All right. So we have one track left. It's a cover.
Oh, boy.
Now, I don't hate this song. Why did we need to focus on it all by itself? What discussion needs to be had here, Pat?
There's quite a lot of backlash coming from this. So it's only fitting that we have to show this particular song some individual attention based on that.
Okay. Is the backlash this just sucks, or is there something about it where if it's the boys covering a girl song, yawn, because that's been done before. Hello, the Dan Band.
There's a couple different things going on. So the critics, of course, being the critics, are really just crapping all over Motley for it, and not even just the critics. So you guys know who Phil Lewis is?
No. I do not.
Phil Lewis is a singer from LA Guns, and boy, oh boy, did he really just rip them apart for this.
Oh, no.
What did he say?
So, he talked about how LA Guns' last album that came out last year, The Missing Piece, and had a follow-up, W.No., and he said, I think it gave us a second chance for people to like us. We're not fucking around. You can hear that. We're not trying to do a country song, and we're not trying to do some type of crossover or hideous cover of Like a Virgin.
Okay. Let me ask you real quick. Did you like this cover, or am I the only one that that's?
I love the cover.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in the minority then.
What don't you like about it, Jesse? Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and hear it, and then we can tear it apart.
Let's do that. Let's listen to this piece of shit, and we'll talk about it.
All right, everyone. Here's a piece of shit called Like a Virgin. Crap. Whoa, whoa, like a virgin, ooh, like a virgin, when it's deep inside. All right, Jesse, let's get deep inside. What's your problem?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Okay.
What's your fucking problem, man?
Let's just ask one question.
All
and
right.
then we'll see if you guys can provide me with an answer.
I got Toby Wong coming out of my one ear, and Madonna's big dick coming out of my left ear.
Toby Wong, Toby Chu, Toby Wong, Toby Chu. Fucking Charlie Chan.
Charlie Chan.
Perfect. Fucking perfect.
Do you know the? Wait, hang on. Let's play the game. Do you know the reference?
Shit.
Oh,
Hold on now. Were you guys doing another Dirk Diggler bit?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. I know I've heard this fucking reference too, and I know
Reservoir
tell me-
Dogs.
Yes. Fucking Harvey Keitel.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So the question I want to ask you guys is why?
Why not?
And there's no answer for this. Okay. All right. Yeah. Please extol the virtues as to why in the hell they decided to go with Like a Virgin.
Jesse, what have we talked about being largely Motley Crue's primary motivation in songwriting?
I understand
It's on the Dr. Feelgood.
sexual. It's their sexual exploits.
Correct.
Okay, and that to me is what defines Motley Crue. At least that's a big aspect in their songwriting. And I get that. I understand that is what this song is clearly about. But of all the material in the fucking world you could pick from to cover a song, you pick a Madonna song. One that I think has... This is like the antithesis of pace compared to what we've had for the bulk of this album.
Okay.
All right?
So, one, are a lot of people talking about this song, not just us?
I would assume.
They are. If you look on the headlines, they are. Two, when you're talking in today's climate of feminism,
Are you kidding me?
Is Madonna not often looked at as a symbol of feminism?
She is.
Why does Motley Crue give a shit?
Okay. Now, are we in an era where we're constantly seeing male figures redefined and reimagined as women?
Are you going to ruin the band for me? Is that what you're trying to do here?
No. What Motley Crue is doing is taking something distinctly assumed to be feminine and turning the tables on feminism
Okay.
and all that bullshit by doing a cover of a feminist icon song, perhaps her most iconic song, which is funny because, in fact, it is about a girl who meets this John Holmes motherfucker. She's like old baby because when he fucks her, it hurts, just like when she was a virgin.
Okay. All right. You know what I would have rather had? And I know this doesn't fit with the rest of the theme of the album because obviously...
Girls just want to have fun.
There was a cover by
All the things she said?
During the movie, there was it sounded like a female vocalist covered Livewire. It was definitely different, and it was.
I'll tell you what I would have liked if they would have done a cover of Billy Squires' "My Kind of Lover."
Okay.
Like he sings at the house party.
Okay.
How about More Than a Woman?
More
than a woman. More than a woman to me.
But she's not. She's in reality, she's not even a woman. She's just a sperm dumpster.
I believe what you meant to say was cum dumpster, sir. If you're gonna use the phrase, go all the way.
Fair enough.
All right.
Jesse, do you understand now why this song makes a little more sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to tell me that Motley Crue is trying to pull one over on us, okay, this is.
No, I don't think they're trying to pull one over on us. I think they're doing it intentionally.
Okay, all right.
Like out in the open, I think they're saying "fuck feminism." We're Motley Crue.
All right. Well,
men, not only take back some shit that's yours, but take some of their shit away for being insolent and put them back in their place.
Put them under the table. Under the table. I knew what was happening.
or in the refrigerator.
Oh goodness.
That's on source material.
Yeah. Kyle Rayner's girlfriend. All right, well, hey, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I really think that was a horrible song to end the album on, but whatever.
I liked it.
Good.
Just, they were saving it. They were saving it all for you, so your love could last.
All right.
I'm an ass man. Bomp bomp. Speaking of which, that's what they should have covered.
Do you know that I used to take my phone, like, so I'd be at a party, and you know how, like, you can hook your phone up now to smart TVs and whatever?
Yeah.
So they'd be in, like, the middle of the most popular song of the party, and I would just take it over with the Ass Man Titantron.
I'd like to kick him. All right. Next week on the Metal Hammer of Doom is Children of Bodom Hex, and then in 2 weeks I want to invite Pat back because we're doing wrestling music. And now let's have this conversation now, Jesse.
We're doing this now. All right.
We're doing this now because I'm on Spotify, and I would have liked to have done forcible entry, but here's the problem: like half the shit's grayed out on here, like on Spotify. Would have been a good one to do because it would have.
Yeah, that is. It's got. Yeah, I forgot they had a lot of rights issues with many of the songs there.
Didn't that have Kid Rock's cover of ZZ Top's Legs?
Yes, which is also grayed out, so you can't listen to it. So like half the shit on here is grayed out, so we can't do forcible entry. Now, I mean, we're doing wrestling music because it's Wrestling Week and Shazam Week in the week of the 8th through the 12th. And we got to figure out. We said we're doing wrestling music. Are you wanting to do like wrestling themes? You want to do like the anthology? Do you want to? I mean, like, how do you want to do this? What do you want to do? Talk to me, baby.
Let's. Well, see, the thing is that I would want to say.
Who is on this show, by the way? Is it me? Is it the Three Amigos again? Is it us?
Yeah, it'd be us. And I don't know if Coop would make it or not, but. For sure, us. I don't know if we could be able to fit anybody else on there. I would like to figure out a way to come up with tracks, but the problem with Spotify not allowing us to play some of them might cause an issue. So
what do you mean by tracks?
Like, okay, I would love to say, okay, let's all pick and agree upon, or figure out a way to come up with like the top 10 wrestling entrances or wrestling themes.
Okay. The show will be 20 minutes long.
Top 10 for I don't know if it would be that short.
Or say there's
we would have plenty to talk about. It's a fucking Radulich and Broadcasting Network, and we're talking wrestling.
Fair enough.
But is there if it's just three of us, do we each pick like 5 songs? If it's 4 of us, do we each pick 3 songs?
Okay, I say yeah, we could do that. We could do, if it's 3 of us, we could do 5 songs apiece. Between 4 and 5.
We're talking just entrance music.
Yeah, just entrance music.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to branch out and get whatever, I don't give a shit. As long as it's been used at one point for some wrestler to walk in.
So no.
You can't do no Land of 1,000 Dances.
No Thought in Your Eye. Can't do Thought in Your Eye, even though that was like the intro to the for Raw for a while.
To the show. Ooh. Oh, that's a good one.
Tutti Frutti by Mean Gene Okerlund.
Okay, I think we should just pick 5 songs associated with wrestling that's on Spotify, so we can make a playlist, and we'll just let it go with that.
I like it.
It can be entrance music, and it can be Tutti Frutti.
It can be Roddy Piper, I'm Your Man.
There you go. It can be anything sung by a wrestler, done by a wrestler, was previously on a wrestling album of some kind.
Yeah, because Hulk Hogan is a real big punk.
Ooh, yeah.
So, Pat, we were in Key West on the cruise, and there were a bunch of guys dressed up like Hulk Hogan. Different variances on the red and yellow Hulk Hogan. And one of the guys split off from the group. He went to the bathroom, and as he's coming back, he passes the table. And before he gets too far away, I just yell out, "You got lust in your eyes, brother!" And he fucking stopped short. Like, nobody at the table knew what I was doing. Like, I'm with my wife and kids, my parents, and they're all like, "Why are you yelling all of a sudden?" Like, everyone was like shocked, and he just sort of stands there and looks at me, and he puts the title down, and he points at me. He's like, "I want you at SummerSlam, Macho Man."
That's perfect.
My dad, who hates wrestling, thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever seen once he realized what was happening.
Awesome.
All right, so we know what we're doing for wrestling music now. We'll figure this out offline and put together a playlist. That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that's card subject to change. We may add a little caveats in there by the time the show hits.
Sure. So that's April 10th, along with our TV party for the WrestleMania weekend. I will be heading up to New York. I'm going to be meeting Pat, Jed. I'll be hanging out with my friend John. We're going to NXT, Access, Ring of Honor, at Madison Square Garden, of course, WrestleMania.
Call it what it really is. Call it New Japan at Madison Square Garden featuring Ring of Honor.
Okay, New Japan. We're going to the Bruce Pritchard show. So I will have a report on all of that and all of our drunken debauchery that weekend, and maybe a little bit about WrestleMania too. And that's April 11th. On the 17th, we're going to celebrate New Jersey. New Jersey!
Ugh.
Overkill. The Wings of War, featuring the single "Welcome to the Garden State." You'll hear our coverage of that on the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra. The following week, I lost it again. The following week is Twar Hell. Hold your heathen hammer high. Now the week of the 29th, we're taking a break because we got a lot of Avengers stuff to do. Plus the Orville season finale and the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So there'll be no Metal Hammer of Doom that week. Which, by the way, if you're wondering what happened to the In Flames show, my computer crapped out, my internet crapped out, and we couldn't get a good connection on Skype, so we just said, fuck the show. Then 5 minutes later, I fixed it, but by that point, Jesse was somewhere and did not want to hear from me anymore. So,
yeah, I got that message about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, sorry, Mark.
So that's Children of Bodom, wrestling music, Overkill, Twar. We're skipping the week of May 1st. We come back with Battle Beast, No More Hollywood Endings, baby dolls. Then speaking of W bands, Whitesnake, Flesh and Blood, the new album, May 15th. Illuviti on May 22nd. Sworn Enemy, Pat. Sworn motherfucking Enemy. I know you know them. It's May 29th.
No handball court is safe.
Allegiant.
You know what's funny is the week we're having WrestleMania. So that following week, I should say, I will be seeing both Whitesnake and Tesla. I will be seeing them both within a 10-minute radius of my house.
Nice.
I'm actually going to see Whitesnake the week that we're doing Pet Cemetery, or Robert and Jason Teasley and Alexis are. We got a Legion June 5th. L7. We got a new L7 album out. Speaking of feminism, on June 12th, new Death Angel, June 19th, and then just recently placed on here. This is a Ailstorm side project, Jesse Starcher.
Oh shit!
Glory Hammer.
Oh, right on.
June 26th. So that's all the news that's fit to print as far as Metal Hammer of Doom. What's going on the rest of the Rattleton Broadcasting Network? Well, tomorrow we have an on-trial for Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. And Saturday, myself, Pat, and Robert Winfrey will be getting together to watch ESPN. Alexander, something Polish, versus Dowdow. Sure. Versus Dowdow, something African, on ESPN. That's going to be 9 o'clock on ESPN. We'll bring you live coverage of that. Next week, it's Toss Salad Week here on the Rattleton Broadcasting. None of this stuff matches. We got Plastic Man on the Rag, Dumbo, and Children of Bodom. As far as after that particular boxing, we're taking a break until May 4th. And we got Canelo versus
Dan
Jacobs on DAZN. We'll be checking out DAZN. All right, Pat, what do you got going on?
You can, as Mark said, hear me with him doing live commentary over those couple fights that we've got going on, and guesting back here in a couple weeks for our wrestling-themed edition of the Metal Hammer of Doom. Rest assured, you will be hearing the sweet, sweet strands of Rick Derringer's demolition on that show. At least if I have anything to say about it. You'll be seeing a live reenactment of The Dirt, starring myself and longtime friend of the show's Jed Lucid.
You to sniff cocaine off girls' asses in New York, New Jersey.
Snap
it probably
that
won't
shit.
be cocaine. It's probably going to be Adderall.
Oh, fantastic. Jesse Starcher, Minister of Propaganda, you fuck. Give me the dirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. You can go to any of your favorite podcast platforms. Type in RADULICH. Should be able to find the show pretty easily. You can subscribe. We talk TV, movies. Every once in a while, we'll talk a little bit of wrestling. We definitely talk comics on here. So, hey, there's something for you. All you got to do is subscribe or download the episodes, and we'd love to hear from you. So, with that being said, be a man, Hogan. Mark Radulich, take us out of here.
All right. This has been the Metal Hammer of Doom's review of the Doit soundtrack. We hope to offend you sometime in the future. Have a good night, everybody.